Now we want to talk about something that is very, very important, critically important, I would say, and that are some important wins being won by workers at Waffle House here in the United States, showing that when you fight, you can win. And to discuss all of this, we are very, very honored to be joined here on the show by Naomi Harris, who's a former Waffle House server and a co-founding member of the Union of Southern Service Workers. Naomi, how you doing? Thanks for being with us.
Hi, I'm doing good. How are you guys?
You know, we're doing well. We're doing well. We're much better now that you are here. Very happy to have you. An honor.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. So let's just start here for maybe those who haven't heard. Update us on what Waffle House workers were able to win from the company after some time here of campaigning on the job.
Okay, so my store was the very first store to go on strike at Waffle House in the history of Waffle House. Waffle House hasn't changed the pay in over 30 years, and now that we have started organizing Waffle House, he was forced to give us raises, which is an amazing big win for us. We won a 300% increase. People who have been working for Waffle House for years on end, they are getting what they're calling a 10-year raise, which is amazing for them, which means that basically they get a seniority raise. The CNO says he's going to increase prices, but they're a $1 billion company. So the fact that they're going to increase their food prices to try and give us our raises is kind of absurd to me. Inflation, it has been happening, and the Waffle House prices has been raised very highly, and they haven't changed none of that in over 30 years. Waffle House has been running for like 68 years, and this is the single largest investment in all of those years from them
Mm.
giving us raises. And we are extremely proud and happy that they are giving us these raises. And it's only because we spoke out, we went on strike, we put them on the front line, and all of the Waffle House workers that saw it started coming out and speaking out against Waffle House. And so our Waffle House campaign has just grown so much larger since almost a year ago. And it's an amazing thing that all the Waffle House workers are starting to come out. Um, they want to do a new system where it's based on their hourly rate per stay, the 10-year, and then the shift premium, which is the third shift raises, because third shift is the longest shift that you have at Waffle House because it's from 9 p.m. all the way until 7 a.m. And so, yeah, and it's a win for all of us, because if it wasn't for us coming out and going on strike almost a year ago next month, then none of this would have came about. Nobody would have came out to speak against Waffle House, because everybody's been scared to speak up against Waffle House because it's the South's delicacy.
Mm.
So speaking up against something that's a delicacy to the South is kind of hard to do. And we get some pushback from people that's been working for Waffle House for like umpteen years. But once they've seen us go out on strike, they have been slowly coming back onto our sides and seeing, okay, now y'all got us a raise. Maybe y'all actually are making Waffle House better. But we still need security. We still need that 24/7 security, because Waffle House is not safe. They tried to implement this to go process at Waffle Houses now, but that's not going to stop somebody from shooting up it's not going to stop somebody from shooting up a Waffle House. The to go windows don't do anything for safety. So we still need that safety, and we still need those meal deduction policies to either be opted in and opted out, or to be get rid of altogether, because it doesn't make sense that they charge us almost $4 an hour to eat food that we don't eat.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I had wanted to ask you to speak a bit now. I mean, this is very, very exciting. It's huge. At the same time, there are still things to fight for here. You mentioned security. You mentioned the $4 to pay for food. So I'm curious. Now that there's been so much organization around this, and now that there has been a victory, what happens next to try to secure further improvements to working conditions at Waffle House?
We're going to keep fighting. The fight is not over. Even though I don't work there anymore, I am going to continue to keep fighting for all Waffle House workers, because Waffle House workers go through so much, and some people think it's a joke what we go through, and it's not a joke. And this is like literally our lives are on the line at Waffle House. So us not having that security is very what's the word I'm looking for? It's like it's dumb, because we need that security. We should not just have security for like 5 hours on third shift only when
Mm.
stuff happens all day. Like, for I went through something at 7:30 in the morning. A guy was upset about hash browns, and he almost took my life over hash browns. So like things like that. If I had security at that moment, I would have never had to deal with no type of confrontation like that. Versus when there's security there, security deals with that. Security knows how to handle that. I'm not trained to handle confrontation like that. And they have a policy where if we fight back, we get fired.
Mm.
So who's supposed to protect me? Am I supposed to just let it happen? I'm not going to just let something happen to me. And I refuse to think it's either my life or my job. I should not be in a circle. I shouldn't be in the middle of picking those two. I should have a security officer there that's trained to do that, to protect me and have my back, versus me having to defend for myself or other customers trying to defend us.
No,
And then that meal deduction policy that they have is so absurd, because it's like $3 and some change, almost $4 that they take
mm,
out of our checks every time that we work. So if you do a double, that's two meal deduction credits that
wow.
come out of your check. And they don't even make sure that when we go home, we have food to eat in our own refrigerators. And half the time, we don't even eat all of that food. Not even half the time. 95% of the time, we do not eat that food because we do not have time to eat it. We don't have time to eat, and it comes out whether we eat or not. So you're telling me, even though I did not eat this food, I'm still paying for it? What am I paying for? The air? Because I didn't eat. I barely
Mm.
had time to get a sip of water. The shifts are always so packed. The stores are always so packed. It's hard to even sit down and get off your feet for a second and catch your breath. Like, and you're trying to take money out of my check for that? That's not right. So either give us an option to opt in and opt out, or have the managers come up with a system where they keep track of who ate and who did not eat and only charge those people, or just get rid of it altogether. And then if we want to take our food to go, we have to pay for it full price. And they have a 20% tax on it now. So you have to pay for the to go items. So like that's the container, that's the cup, that's the straws, anything that's plastic that you have to put the food in, you got to pay for that on top of paying the already 10% tax that comes along with it. So it's like either y'all give us an option to opt in and opt out, or you just get rid of it altogether, because it doesn't even make sense to have that when we don't even have time to eat the food and we cannot even take it home.
Mm. Mm. I mean, wow. That I'm honestly just a little shocked. Like that's crazy. Like I mean, that's you paying them basically. It's really unbelievable. And I wonder about this too because I saw that when the AP did an article on it, Waffle House actually just said no comment as to this is what's happening. So it shows obviously they I think were afraid to admit about the power of your organizing. But I say that just to ask, what do you think this means for low wage workers in general across the South? Because Waffle House is so iconic, and everyone knows Waffle House. So to have a win like this, what does that mean for the people working at the places that are lesser known, the gas stations, the local food places? How do you think this impacts those workers as well?
Well, when they see our big win, they can see that they can get it done at their store too. All it takes is one person to speak up and get all the rest of their coworkers on board. That's all it takes. All it takes is just one store for everything to just have a domino effect to it. Your voices will get heard. Always, as if you join the Union of Southern Service Workers, your voice will get heard. We will make sure that your job is held accountable for the actions that they do. We hold every single job accountable. That's why we cross sector organize, so that way we can protect workers no matter where they go to, whether it's a restaurant, to a warehouse, to being a server, to working at a gas station, to healthcare. If you are providing a service in this here South, we are here for you, and we will make sure that your voice gets heard.
And I'm curious, as this continues, I just want to know, in terms of a victory like this, I think it's always important to recognize that workers in one place winning something this big is good for all workers. So, how might this benefit workers across the region, across the country?
It can benefit all workers because we're all fighting the same fight. It doesn't matter if I'm working at Waffle House and you're working at a warehouse. We are going through the same exact thing. So if we're going through the same exact fight and I was able to win at my store, then imagine what we can do at your store. We can
Mm.
win your victories. We can win victories for you as well, because we're all going through the same exact thing. It's just in a different font. These corporations are getting away with treating us like our labor doesn't have any dignity, and it does. And we're fed up. That's why you need to join a union, stand up and fight back against these corporations. Your stories out there, because you're not the only one going through it. Some people might think that they're alone, but nobody is alone in this here fight. We are all fighting the same exact fight, and we all have to stand together and show that we really have these powers in numbers, because that's how we get these corporations back, by playing with their money. Since y'all want to play with our money, we're going to go on strike and stop your money for that day. Because if none of us are working, you're not going to come in here and flip burgers. You're not going to come in here and make waffles. You're not going to come in here and make sure the stuff get on the truck. You're not going to do none of that. You're going to have to shut down. And that's how we show them that we mean business. We have to make them shut their stores down so that they know we are not playing with y'all anymore. Y'all have played with us for long enough, and it's time for workers to stand up and fight back and show our powers in numbers.
Well, before we let you go, for anyone who may be watching who wants to find out more about USSW, perhaps they're a service worker themselves, where should they go? Where can they look?
So you can find us on all platforms at Raise Up the South, and we have a website, and it's ussw.org, and you can find all information that you need on there.
Naomi Harris, co-founding member of the Union of Southern Service Workers. As always, thank you so much for giving us some of your time here on the Freedom Side.
Thank you.